Welcome back, my dears. Welcome to another beautiful look at our cosmic weather. Right here on What Do Stars Say? Grab your coffee, sit down, get cozy, because, wow, we have so much to talk about today.
Oh, we really, really do. I mean, I'm practically vibrating in my seat today. The energy of this week is just so intense, so huge.
Right. I am so excited to get into this with you. We are looking at a very specific, highly anticipated week, my sweet listeners. We are talking about April 13th through the 19th, 2026.
Yes, and honestly, every single forecast we reviewed for this specific window, they all agree this is not a drill, honeys.
No, absolutely not. It's wild. Usually, when we talk about a cosmic traffic jam, it is just pure, unadulterated frustration. You are stuck on the highway, brake lights for miles, everyone is just laying on the horn.
Oh, the worst.
Right. And it feels like all your momentum is just slammed into a concrete wall.
Exactly. It is the ultimate experience of restriction. You're being forced into a state of absolute stillness when, every instinct you have is screaming at you to keep moving, keep pushing.
But what if that traffic jam wasn't an accident? I mean, my nice-hearted listener, imagine all those cars were stopped on purpose, strategically bottlenecked right at a major fork in the road.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Yeah, so the delay is actually forcing everyone to sit in the quiet of their cars, look at the map, and decide if they are actually heading in the right direction before they choose a lane.
See, viewing a pileup like that as an intentional structural pause, it completely changes the dynamic. It goes from being this annoying punishment to a necessary moment of recalibration.
Yes, recalibration. And that intentional bottleneck is exactly the mechanism driving the energies we are analyzing today. We have pulled from so many amazing forecasts, including some incredibly nuanced insights we translated from our favorite Turkish astrologers.
Yes, the Turkish insights were so brilliant this week.
So brilliant. And they are all zeroing in on this rare, massive, energetic shift. It's a huge pileup of planets gathering in the sign of Aries.
Oh my gosh, Aries' energy is already so fiery, and now we have this crowd. We are looking at the Sun, Chiron, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune, all interacting in these very tense, very complex ways.
It's a cosmic reset button, my dears. You have an extraordinary amount of energetic focus concentrated in one single place. And what I find so compelling is how this energy peaks on Friday, April 17th.
The new moon.
Yes, the new moon in Aries. But this isn't your standard, set a nice intention and plant a seed kind of new moon. No, no, no. It sits at an anaretic degree, specifically 27 degrees right at the tail end of the sign.
Oh, wow, 27 degrees. That carries such an intense sense of urgency. For our listeners who might not know, anaretic degrees function as the absolute end of a cycle.
A karmic closing of a chapter, right?
Exactly. It's closing just as a new one is frantically trying to begin. You're standing in this liminal space. You have one foot still rooted in the lessons of the past, while the rest of your body is just leaning aggressively toward the new cycle.
So true. And one of the global forecasts we looked at highlighted a detail about this specific new moon that just, wow, it changes the entire complexion of the event.
The fact that it's unexpected.
Yes, it is essentially unexpected. Despite all those other heavy-hitting planets hanging out in the Aries room, this new moon isn't making major traditional connections to them. It is operating entirely on its own.
Which is so rare and so powerful. The psychological implication of an unexpected transit is just profound. Because, aspects are the conversations happening between the planets.
Right, like a trine is a nice flow, a square is an argument.
Exactly. But an unexpected planet is operating in total silence. The energy of this new moon is deeply isolated and deeply personal. It strips away all the external noise.
It doesn't care about the noise. It isn't concerned with what your boss expects of you or the demands of your partner or the panic of the daily news cycle.
Oh, definitely not.
It's like imagine sitting in a crowded, incredibly noisy room where everyone is shouting, dropping plates, arguing, but suddenly the audio just cuts out.
Oh, I get chills just thinking about that. Total silence.
Right. Everything goes completely quiet in your head, and you have this profound aha moment completely on your own, totally detached from the chaos around you.
And that isolated quiet is the only environment where true internal realization can happen. And another source we reviewed added a really critical layer to this. They noted that this new moon is conjunct Chiron.
Ooh, Chiron, the wounded healer.
Yes, the wounded healer. It is the locus of our deep-seated insecurities, particularly the wounds surrounding our core identity, my honeys. Our fundamental right to exist and take up space.
So because it is sitting right on Chiron, this quiet aha moment has to be about confronting that specific core wound.
Absolutely.
Which means Practically speaking, for you listening, you cannot rely on outward momentum this week until you fix your internal monologue.
Preach. You have to heal the inner narrative first.
You cannot take meaningful, sustained outward action if the voice in your head is constantly undermining your worth or your capability. It just won't work.
It's a mandatory diagnostic check. The universe is effectively saying, hey, before we can hit the gas and launch into this new 2-year cycle, we have to pull over and fix the engine.
But, oh my gosh, finding that internal quiet to fix the engine is going to be a monumental task, especially considering the atmospheric interference we are dealing with leading up to it.
A fog. The dreaded fog.
Yes, the daily energy earlier in the week is being driven by Mars and Mercury, and they are creating an incredibly disorienting environment. Mars starts the week on Monday, conjunct Neptune.
And that conjunction fundamentally alters how Martian energy operates. I mean, Mars is the engine of our ambition, right?
Yeah.
It demands thrust, decisive action, speed.
It wants to go, go, go.
Exactly. But Neptune acts as an atmospheric fog. It represents illusion, dreams, the dissolution of boundaries. So when you combine them, Neptune just dilutes the Martian drive. It blankets the fire in a thick, wet fog.
Which sounds physically and mentally exhausting. I mean, you wake up on Monday or Tuesday with this deep-seated desire to act, but the target is completely obscured.
You can't see a thing?
Right. You might feel physically drained or just deeply confused about which path actually makes sense anymore.
The weariness is real, my dears, and it is purposeful. The fog is there to prevent premature action. You aren't supposed to move yet, but the weather does break, and it breaks violently midweek.
Oh, Wednesday is wild.
By Wednesday, Mercury finally emerges from this soggy 10-week transit in Pisces. I mean, Mercury has been in detriment. It has been retrograde. It's just been a prolonged period of muddy communication.
Muddy, sluggish, just woof. But right before Mercury leaves Pisces, it makes an electrical connection with Uranus.
The spark.
Yes, the spark. We go from weeks of sluggish thinking to sudden breakthroughs and flashes of insight. Ideas that previously had zero traction suddenly catch fire as Mercury bursts into Aries.
It is a jarring shift. Going from that Neptunian fog to the Uranian spark, it just floods your system with mental adrenaline.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here. If I'm starting the week completely drained and lost in that Mars-Neptune fog, I am worried that by the time Mercury hits Aries on Wednesday, I'll be so desperate for momentum that I just start speaking recklessly.
Oh, that is exactly what you have to watch out for.
Like, I'll take all that pent-up frustration from the fog and weaponize it the second I get a clear thought. I mean, do I just blast off and start yelling?
No. That is the exact trap this transit sets. One of our amazing Turkish astrologers had a very specific, brilliant warning regarding this sudden influx of mental fire.
Oh, I know the concept you're talking about.
Yes. When Mercury hits Aries, it brings undeniable bravado and incredibly fast, sharp talking. The astrologers use the Turkish concept of patavatsılık.
Patavatsılık. I love that word.
It's brilliant. It's a warning against the dangerous confusion between true honesty and pure tactlessness.
Oh, my honeys, we all know that person. The person who drops a verbal bomb, says something incredibly destructive or rude, and then defends the collateral damage by saying, "What? I'm just being honest. I'm just telling it like it is."
Yes. That impulsive rhetoric is the absolute dark side of Mercury in Aries. The strategy here requires extreme self-regulation.
Filter, filter, filter.
Exactly. You have to use the early week fog to physically and mentally rest. Do not try to force action when you cannot clearly see the road ahead. Then, when that midweek mental fire ignites, use it to gather your courage.
Right. Articulate the ideas you've been sitting on.
But you must implement a heavy, heavy filter between your brain and your mouth. Because reckless rhetoric on Wednesday or Thursday will simply become a diplomatic mess you are forced to apologize for next week.
And nobody has time for that. But you know, this impulsive rhetoric feels like just a symptom of the larger structural tension that is building toward the weekend.
Oh, the weekend. Brace yourselves, my sweet listeners.
We've got the internal healing of the new moon, the exhaustion of the fog, the sudden mental fire of Mercury. But the defining astrological aspect of the week is the overarching clash between the malefics and the grace of the benefic.
The drama is unmatched. To understand the stakes, we really need to look at how the the planetary bringers of good fortune, how they set the stage.
Yes, let's talk about the good stuff first. Early in the week, Venus and Jupiter form this beautiful sextile aspect.
A massive saving grace.
But what is the actual mechanism of that grace? Like, how does a Venus-Jupiter sextile function in the middle of all this chaotic Aries energy?
Well, a sextile represents an opportunity that requires your active participation to unlock. Venus and Jupiter are combining to expand your values, your relationships, your sense of harmony.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It is. It manifests as a sudden moment of interpersonal clarity or a strategic breakthrough. Maybe it is a crucial conversation with a mentor or a sudden realization about your financial worth. It provides a taste of hope, sweetened by real opportunity.
And that strategic clarity is bolstered by Mars forming a sextile to Pluto on Thursday. So you aren't just getting a vague sense of hope.
No.
You are getting a hyper-focused vision of how the chessboard is laid out and what moves are actually available to you.
I love the chessboard analogy. The benefics are essentially handing you the architectural blueprint for the future you want to build. They are showing you the potential of what your life could look like if you navigate the coming hurdles correctly.
Which is vital, my dears. So vital, because the hurdle arrives on Sunday, and it arrives in the form of a massive concrete wall.
A literal wall.
Mars and Saturn exactly conjoin in Aries, and this is for the first time in 28 years. A 28-year cycle completing and restarting. That is a generational shift.
It is huge. To grasp why this conjunction is so structurally significant, we have to look at the elemental dignities ancient astrology assigned to these two planets. The traditional malefics.
Right.
Mars is categorized as hot and dry. It represents sheer action, speed, severance, raw, unbridled willpower.
Iron force.
Exactly. But Saturn is categorized as cold and dry. It represents restriction, patience, heavy structure, and the unavoidable reality of time.
One of the sources used such a brilliant analogy to capture this paradox. They compared Mars to the swinging hammer and Saturn to the laborer who actually has to build the structure.
Yes.
When you smash those two energies together in the same sign, you get a literal wall that brings all your momentum to a dead stop.
The friction generated by this conjunction is just immense. Tensions that have been simmering beneath the surface are going to come to an unavoidable head.
It reminds me of driving a high-powered car. Mars is your foot slamming the gas pedal all the way down to the floorboards, but Saturn is your hand simultaneously gripping the emergency brake and ripping it upward.
Oh, that is exactly what it feels like.
The result isn't forward motion. The result is an immense amount of localized friction. The tires squeal, thick smoke fills the air, the engine threatens to completely overheat.
But the vehicle itself barely moves an inch.
Ex-
That visceral friction perfectly captures the lived experience of this transit. Another brilliant Turkic astrologer we read analyzed this specific conjunction as a rigorous cosmic test of your accumulated wisdom.
A test. I love that framing.
It is a moment where the desire to take bold, aggressive risks, the Martian gas pedal, must be perfectly balanced with intense, uncompromising discipline, the Saturnian emergency brake.
The sequencing of all this is what fascinates me, though. We are handed this lucky, sweet, strategically hopeful Venus-Jupiter blueprint early in the week, right before we are thrown headfirst into the Mars-Saturn concrete wall on Sunday.
The timing is everything.
It is. The benefics give us the blueprint before we hit the wall, because if we hit that level of restriction without a clear vision of what is on the other side, we would just surrender. We would turn the car off and walk away.
We would just give up. The timing is an act of cosmic mercy, honestly. The Venus-Jupiter hope and the Mars-Pluto strategy, they provide the exact resilience necessary to survive the frustrating bottleneck at the end of the week.
They really do.
The benefics reveal the ultimate prize. The malefics ensure you possess the structural integrity required to earn it and maintain it.
Yes. The sweetness isn't there to magically dissolve the wall. It's there to give you the motivation to systematically climb over it.
So well said.
So, looking at this holistic picture, how do we practically apply this to the 2-year reset button the sources keep mentioning?
Well, all the forecasts are unified in pointing out that this Mars-Saturn conjunction sets up a synodic reset. It dictates the thematic rhythm for the next 2 years of your life.
2 whole years.
And the foundational requirement for entering this new cycle successfully is radical self-honesty.
It demands that you decide exactly who you are going to be moving forward. And more importantly, it forces you to articulate what behavior or situation is no longer acceptable in your daily life.
Exactly. It is a demand for better architecture. The universe is literally asking you, how badly do you actually want this objective? And are you willing to do the hard, tedious, boring structural work required to sustain it?
Oh, that is so powerful. This makes it the premier time to brutally audit your habits, my honeys. It is the moment to establish ironclad boundaries, particularly in environments where you feel undervalued.
Work, relationships, all of it.
Think about how this plays out in a job where you are constantly overworked but underappreciated. The Martian urge is to draft a fiery email, flip your desk over, and rage quit on a Wednesday.
We've all been there. The urge is so strong.
So strong. But playing your life strategy like a game of chess changes that approach entirely. You can't just flip the board because you are frustrated with your position. You have to think 3 moves ahead.
Saturn demands that you use the frustration to build an exit strategy. True power within this transit is never found in reckless, impulsive explosions. True power is directed, disciplined willpower. Mars provides the raw heat and the will. Saturn demands that you use that heat to forge iron.
I am getting chills. If you are listening to this right now and you feel a massive, overwhelming urge to just burn something to the ground this week, maybe a toxic friendship, a stagnant career, a frustrating living situation, take a breath.
Please take a deep breath.
Do not let the Neptunian exhaustion or the sudden Uranian spark trick you into self-sabotage. Use that intense, fiery Aries energy to lay a new brick foundation instead. The mandate is to construct, not just destroy.
Harnessing the energy in that manner is exactly how you survive the traffic jam and emerge in the correct lane.
Absolutely. Let's take a breath and recap the sheer scale of the astrological weather report we just navigated.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. You are stepping into a week defined by a rare, deeply personal, and deeply isolated Aries new moon that demands internal healing.
Yes, fix the engine first.
You are going to have to actively manage the clearing of the Neptune fog early in the week. Brace your nervous system for a surge of Mercury's mental fire by Wednesday, and ultimately stand your ground for a profound 28-year structural reset as Mars meets Saturn on Sunday.
It is undeniably a week of immense friction. But remember, my sweet listeners, that friction is the exact mechanism that produces long-term clarity.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as you sit in this cosmic traffic jam.
Ooh, I love the final thoughts.
If Mars and Saturn are actively forcing you to hit a wall this week, specifically to show you where your true boundaries and structural weaknesses lie, what is the wall you keep repeatedly hitting in your own life right now?
Oh, that is such a good question.
Right, and instead of fighting it, instead of getting angry at the delay or burning out your engine trying to forcefully drive through solid concrete, is it finally time to realize that the wall isn't blocking your path, but rather redirecting you toward a fundamentally different one?
Wow. The obstacle is rarely just an obstacle. More often than not, the obstacle is the actual path you need to be walking.
So beautiful. Keep your eyes on the road, filter your words, play the long game, my dears.
And we are sending you all the most amazing positive energy to get through it.
Yes, we are. Next week, the stars are waiting with even more surprises. So, in order not to miss it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, What Do Stars Say?
Yes, subscribe. And if you liked our cosmic review of this week, please don't forget to like this video, and don't be shy to share your comments with us down below.
We love reading your comments. Until next time, my honeys, keep looking up.